Ah, hello. So,
Yes, we have a couple questions.
let's start.
There is a question about the game industry. I don't know if you have extra insights into gaming industry and how to um, how does the gaming industry works in Silicon Valley? How to raise capital if you are in gaming?
Are we talking gaming or azartny?
I think we're talking about gaming, not
Okay,
the gambling.
yeah, because gambling industry is a whole totally different thing, and it is mafia.
Yes,
It doesn't matter where
it
you
is the
are.
Native American mafia.
Yeah, you and you got it, and it's evolved so much, and it includes Native Americans now, and it's all, but so the gambling industry is a whole total. And I actually know people in that industry, and have talked quite a bit about that. The question really um, is the Igravai, where my new kitchen, my ghost kitchen, is right across from Zynga. I'm not sure if you know Zynga. It's a very, very famous
Design district.
yeah, and so it's really an amazing industry. What I do know about it is the good news with the gaming industry is it's universal. There are many game companies, whether it's entertainment arts or Zynga like across the street, or there's a lot of them here. But you can do a lot of stuff with the gaming industry outside of America. Now, if you have your own game and want to start your own gaming company, I'm not sure if that's what the question was about, right? Um, then that's a different thing, and I would definitely consider coming to Silicon Valley for that because
Yeah,
you're going to
that's true.
be
It's a
around.
lot of companies, a lot of connections. You definitely can do that.
And
And a question on the point.
yeah, and the gaming industry
Yep.
is very important because if you're able to do a great game, you're going to get the biggest amount of your money if you come over to the States. That's where you're going to make the money because it's all about content and entertainment right now in the States. Everything is about everybody's in content, everybody's in and you can find if you have a good game, right? You will find lots of investors.
Question to come into Silicon Valley. If you have zero contracts, friends, local investors or anybody in Silicon Valley, how long do you think it would take to establish yourself here?
So the first and more important thing is like unless you're being kicked out of Russia, your parents are saying you're gone, you gotta get out of here, or you ran into difficulties with Verhushka, right? I would stay where you are and do what's called the drill down on finding people on LinkedIn, on Facebook, in these different areas, doing what you're doing right now. Awesome. Build up. I'm not sure if you can get from Nastya all of these email addresses, get these contacts, right? Because the more you work with these people, all of these people are the ones who answered yes to my first question, do you want to go to Silicon Valley? Those are your peers, those are your friends. Now you find people who are somewhat like you or in the same industry, or maybe you could be partners, maybe not, but at least you can be roommates and split the rent. And you're Russians.
Yeah,
So
that's already 90% of the budget.
That's huge. That's huge. Get a garage, get a little place, put 2 beds in it, or a bunk bed, or a tri-bunk bed, right? But I mean, really, and we know that the Ruski character, right? You can do anything anywhere, right? So with that bravado, with that ability, find the people here that want to make the move, right? Get in with those people. That's your roommates, and share wealth, right? Pool your cash, right? That's how Mexican immigrants make it. That's how Chinese immigrants make it. That's how Russian immigrants make it. You get together. If you can do 3 or 4 people, then you're awesome. As long as you don't kill each other, hate each other, right? If you can get together, pull that cash, get a small flat, cram yourself in there. That's the other thing too difficult about getting flats. The reason why you need locals is because it's really difficult to get into a flat because you have to have a credit check and all this other bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Social security.
Very difficult. So stay where you are, do a 6-month, 3-month plan, 6 months, I'd say minimum, 3 months is way too aggressive. and get all these contacts lined up, find the people, look where you're going, find the cheapest place, transport. How are you going to transport? Общественный transport sucks in America. It's awful.
Oh, Muni. Oh my God, painful, painful memories.
Painful. Go to one place, to another place, to another place, 3 places to change. You're like, oh my God, now I got to go to work, right? So, I mean, a lot of things are really easy here. There's no weather. You don't have to wear 2 different pairs of shoes, especially for girls. They can wear flats. They don't have to wear high heels anymore. They don't have to have blisters, right? You can look great like you always do, Russian ladies, which is also really great because everybody else is like, whoa, wow, but you can also dress down. It's much easier. And the weather, when we don't have the big fires, is pretty good.
It is so true. And as you mentioned, there are hacker houses and co-living spaces. A lot of them are in San Francisco, started by Russian entrepreneurs. One of our previous speakers, Pavel Cherkashin, owns one of them. You might know it. It's a church in close to Financial District. It's called 908, and it's the co-living and entrepreneurial hub for Russian founders, for international founders who are landing to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, to kind of start and help you out on your first few steps. So if you want to learn more about that, just ping in Telegram chat. I'll send you the link to it. It's a great community.
I want to know about it.
You too. We'll do. Yeah, it's honestly, it's amazing. And it's insane. It's literally in the middle of the old church. So people would gather in the church to build startups. It's very fun.
Well, I know because many churches are actually collapsing right now. So there's
exactly.
Good real estate. So yes,
cheap real estate.
Please send me that, Nastya.
We'll do, Chris. We have a very interesting question from one of the most active participants, Andrei. He's asking how to adapt to Silicon Valley without losing yourself. What helped you to keep your American touch, I guess, more like American positivity when you moved to start doing business in Russia?
Well, it's interesting because there's 2 questions before that. Chris, why did you move back to US? And did you have to assimilate? They're all kind of similar. So I'm going to answer all 3 of those questions. So I moved back to the US because officially, and non-officially, my company got raided by my former partner, right? And so that was not cool. It was very difficult. So I had to bail. And so, and if you ever need to know about rating stuff, I can tell you on a private conversation. And it's a very difficult problem, and I don't want to get political here. I just want to, it's definitely one of the risks of doing business in Russia. When you get to a certain level, a friend of mine and a colleague of mine called it the lawnmower effect. When you get to a certain level, so you got to watch out. And then the next question, which was, did you have to assimilate? When I came back to America, it was 5 years. It was 3 years before I felt my nagi, my legs, on a foundation again, and it was another 2 years before I got kind of back to where I was this confident and being able to do it. Because I came back and I didn't have infrastructure. Reached out to friends; they were already doing other things, and food industry is a whole totally different industry in America than Russia. Totally different industry, broken down into very, very strict segments. Coffee people are very different. Coffee house people are very different than fast food people, very different. So assimilating back here was very difficult, right? It was very difficult. And it was when I found things started really going crazy when I finally hooked up with Mikhail Kukurich, who's my business partner. And he did 7 years. He did 7 years to get to where he is right now, 7 years. And it was only 4.5 years before he started. And he started here with a bunch of stuff. He had a house here. He had, finances. He had contacts. He had all this stuff. But he said, Chris, it's been a long, hard road, right? And that's why when he started to do Unfurl, he said, I know you, you know me, come on. That's a lot. Having shared cultural experience, but having a worldview, very important. 2 things. Shared cultural experience, worldview. Those are the 2 major contributions to 21st century team building, right? So when you ask this question, about, or is it, как
How to adapt to Silicon Valley, but at the same time, keep yourself. Don't lose yourself.
I think the first thing is you should know who you are, right? At the same time, many people know that I'm a Baha'i, right? And that actually answers the other question: why did I come to Russia? Because I came to help the Baha'i community for 3 months and stayed for 21 years. But as a Baha'i, it's really important to always be in this independent investigation of truth, right? So you're always investigating truth. So first, you know yourself, and when you come to Silicon Valley, be ready to accept new experiences because there's a lot here to be offered. Amazing stuff. At the same time, it's also very important to know who you are and don't get involved in industries or things that I don't want to do that. I just don't want to be a part of that. Keep who you are. The way to not lose yourself is to know who you are and get involved in a company and a culture that is doing that. It's very difficult to be picky, right? But people respect it more. Not when you're picky, like, but when you're actually like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm really good at, and I really don't want to be a part of that. People are like, cool, we're not going to work together, but thank you, you didn't waste my time, right? And that comes back to you. And then you'll find the people that actually share those same ideas, share those same practices, and you'll be in a harmonious place. Because that's really what we want. We want work that gives us good money and to be in a harmonious place. That's not easy.
It's very true. And I wanted to add from my personal experience, when I moved to Silicon Valley, to San Francisco, my adaptation strategy first step was to change my last name. As you can see, it's Green. And the reason I did that I always wanted to change my last name, and it was just the right moment. So I didn't feel like I'm losing my identity. And I would lead every single conversation from, I'm Ukrainian. And you know what's different about Ukrainians? We are real. And that was such a big definition, because people who know how shallow American culture could be, especially in Silicon Valley, especially in California, and Chris mentioned that, they knew that if they talk to me, I will be straightforward, I will be honest, and if we become friends, it's a friendship forever. It's not, oh, hi, you're amazing. So be you, adapt things that you want to adapt to feel more you, and then learn more about the culture, learn about cultural differences.
I know a lot of Russian immigrants here who are the foundations of many businesses. And this realness you're talking about, Nastya, is just it's so amazing, because people will be talking, and like the CEO or the COO of this team will be looking around and they're getting all this bullshit from people. Yeah. And they'll look at the Russian and go, so what do you think? They'll go,
So
well, I think it's a crappy idea because of this. And it's like, thank God, geez, and it's not to be, you don't want to be Debbie Downer, as they call it in America, but you want to be real, because that's what you're hired for. You're hired to be real. I mean, it's different. If you're an executive assistant, you're not hired to be real. You're hired to do what the executive wants. That's a different position, and you signed on for that, right? But if you're anywhere in middle management to upper management, anywhere in the founder position, co-founder position, you gotta be real, right? And I think that you said something really great, and you guys might want to email Nastya, having a coming to America or a coming to Silicon Valley strategy. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Have a strategy and have it broken down. First I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do this. Getting your driver's license. Damn, that's crazy.
Oh my God, don't remind me. I was celebrating for a week.
And you don't think about this stuff. When you come here, you didn't think about this. You didn't think about that stuff. And you suddenly, boom, I got a job in San Pablo, best job in the world. I'm living on a brood. You know, I didn't think about it.
Yeah, there is a lot.
And so that's the kind of stuff that's very important. And yes, Mikhail did in fact announce today that his company is going through an IPO. He actually said a few days ago, thank you, Arsene. I'm going to give my props out to my partner. We're really proud of him. 3 years to get Momentous to an IPO. So that's pretty serious. And SPAC, he used SPAC way of doing it. Very interestingly enough, this is his third space business. So he says it's not 3 years; it's actually 7, 8 years. He did his first one in Russia. That didn't go well, and we won't even get into that. And then he did his second one here. That went okay, and then the third one. So it's actually, you do 3 years, but you don't see how much learning. You know, there's the old one where the guy, you know, there's a whole group of factory executives, and the factory shuts down. The machinery is not working. It's broken. Nobody knows what's going on, what's happening. Nobody can tell them what's going on. One of the executives goes, I know a guy. And I go, well, why didn't you say about it? Well, he's going to be about $1 million. He charges just $1 million. You go, what? Okay, well, you know, we're already down 3. And briefcase, really simple costume on. He comes in. Hey, you ready? Ready. Can you please sign the document? I want to make sure we're signed up. Everything's good. Great. Can you transfer the Preta Plata? I'm like, look, what? No, just transfer. I don't want to have any problems. Always happens. So they transfer the Preta Plata, to him, and sign the contract. He looks around, goes around the equipment for about 15 minutes, opens his briefcase, pulls out a hammer, smacks it, and the entire machine starts working. And they go, what the hell? What's the $1 million for? And he goes, listen, for me hitting the hammer, that's $600. The $1 million is for the 25 years of me learning where to hit. You know, and that's an old one.
So true.
It's an old one, but a good one.
And it's behind every overnight success story. There is years, sometimes tons of years, decades of work to get to that overnight success. We have a very interesting question before we jump into results of our questionnaire from Vasily. He's asking if you think there is a middle ground, for example, London or somewhere else in Europe, that is in between all for money, US and Silicon Valley approach, and nepotism and other Russian interesting aspects.
So Russia, so I'm sorry, Europe has too much COVID. Just kidding.
But good food, hey.
We have the most COVID in the world. USA, #1. Anyway, I won't
Let's make America great again.
Exactly. Oh my God. So yes, Vasily, there's amazing stuff going on in Europe. I think Europeans in their relationship with Russia is difficult, right? On a political level, on a geopolitical level. But I do think Europeans really understand, once again, educated Europeans, understand Russia's significance a lot better than Americans do. So when you're meeting with a German or a Pole or a French person or a Brit, you know, they really appreciate Russia as a culture, as an empire, as a part of the European experience, right? And that's powerful, right? And the relationship between France and Russia, and the relationship between England and Russia, very, very difficult. England and Russia, very much. That's what created the problems with America. America inherited its British relationship to Russia. But I think on a human level, an educated Brit is going to really look in your immediate ability to contact each other might be a little less difficult than an American, right? Americans might have still, even very educated Americans say such stupid things about Russia. You're just like, oh my God, how did that come out of your mouth, right? You really need to up some credible information. But anyway, the point being is, London's amazing, right? And if you have the number of Chichevarkin, then you go for it, But I think that it would be really, really amazing to look at, because there is a cluster of very, very advanced Russians in London, very advanced. It also depends. I mean, if you're in the finance industry, obviously London's brilliant, right? It's still one of the centers for finance. If you're in the high tech industry, you might think of Dublin or Ireland. So there's these different areas that you might think of. Where else?
Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin.
Booming right now in Germany. Mm-hmm.
I forgot about Berlin. Sorry. Yes. And Berlin's brilliant. Berlin it's very dynamic. Frankfurt's good.
Also Portugal. There is some active startup movement. There are grants from government. They're giving you almost free or highly discounted apartments to live if you're building tech startups there.
Portugal's actually Israel's great, but Portugal's especially if you have Jewish heritage. So I'm Jewish and I'm Portuguese and I'm a bunch of other stuff. I'm very typical American. But yeah, if you have Jewish heritage that you can prove, you can get in there. You're gonna have to learn strict 2 years for Hebrew school, so got to watch that. And then definitely Portugal's brilliant. Portugal's the cost of living and the lifestyle in Portugal is great. You can eat very well for very cheap. Remember, I'm in the food industry.
Right, and have a good weather most of the year. Okay, let's look into our results of our questionnaire, because your conversation with you is so engaging that I feel like we can be just chatting for another hour, but unfortunately time is limited. Okay, what is the main competitive advantage of Silicon Valley? 42 people said that it's access to capital. Second place goes to approach to human capital, to people. 21% said it's diversity and international culture. And only 4% said that it's high competition. What do you think about that? And I also remember we had some great answers in the chat. So as you're commenting this, I will go into a chat and come back to them.
So yeah, this actually, like I did last time, I don't want to do the same thing, but it's true. All of these are very important, right? All of them. I'd say, F, all of the above, right? But I think what's important here, does to capital. Raising capital in America is both difficult, very difficult, and much easier, right? The difficult thing is to understand what to put there and developing the financial contacts to raise money. That's difficult, right? But the trapu, the path, is very, very well known, and people are like, you got your idea. If you have the idea, if you have the MVP, the minimum viable product that proves the idea to some a little bit, you got a little bit of traction, then you're in a totally different place than not having anything, right? And so that's that, and you can do succession after succession of rounds of investment. And the way in which you get money and not having to deal with, in America, your investors aren't your family members. They're just investors. In Russia, you better pick your investor really well, because he's now at every one of your texts, your emails. Something goes wrong and he's in your face, and it's just a totally different world in Russia.
Like a godfather. Exactly.
It's not easy in Russia. And so if you have a great relationship and you don't spoil that relationship, then great. It's just a different, very collective. In America, that whole thing that Masha said, просто так, кроме деньги, right? So that nature really comes well in business. Like, stop touching me. I'm doing my product. right? Yeah, it was. The site was down for a day. What do you want from me, right? I'm making it happen, right? So I mean, people don't do that kind of crap, right? They don't come back at you and call you and text you because some small thing's wrong. So I think that ability to get capital is really good. I really think that the second place one is very, very, very interesting because, and I'm not sure if I'm alone in this, but the relationship to workers, right? Especially the relationship to women and people of color as the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement becomes further down. We got a long way to go. And we're talking about California. We're talking about Silicon Valley, okay, people? I'm not talking about Kansas. Kansas, they don't know what Black Lives Matter is. They still don't. And women, God help you, right? So, but in Silicon Valley, you got people are not grabbing you, not touching you, not doing stupid stuff. And if you find out that your wage is less than the next guy over that's in the same job position because this title is the same, you just won the lottery. You get a lawyer and you're good. You just won the lottery. Lawyer up, go hard, right? And that's just, I mean, there is an infrastructure that protects these things. And like I said, San Francisco, we got gay rights, we got everybody's rights. We got rights that you haven't even heard about, right? So if you are in these communities, right, that do not have a voice or are taken for granted, and I love Russia, but my Russian women are taken for granted in Russia. You are taken for granted. I'm just telling you. Every year, go in for a raise because you're being paid less than any of the men around, 100%. Just go in every year. I need a raise or I'm leaving, right? Because you're going to get it because he's still saving 30, 40% off of you, the boss. It sucks, right?
It is very patriarchic. Yeah, still patriarchic society in Russia and Ukraine and Belarus.
And it's
but
really
I would say,
weird.
I want to add, I don't know, what was the last time you've been in Russia, Chris?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. So I go about every year, and I would say, especially to Kiev, to Ukraine, I see a huge positive change in a way that females are stepping up for themselves, running businesses, becoming CEOs, becoming executives. And Moscow is even more. The amount of women who run businesses, like my Instagram community, are all amazing, badass female entrepreneurs. So I would say it's getting much, much better.
Yeah.
We had we're actually out of time. Let's, I guess, ask just one last question, because we just spoke so much about the mentality and cultural differences. We had a question from Arsen. He asked, what's the most important difference between Russian mentality and American mentality?
Wow.
That's a hard one, huh?
That's really difficult. That's really difficult. I'm just going to go off the top of my head. Russians, like I said before, and I really mean this, Russians have a very balanced worldview because they're in the middle of two realities, the West and the East. And so Russians do not have, I don't think this, in general, Russians don't go, I am better than everyone else just because I'm Russian, right? Russia's an older culture and understands how to work within a greater, with many borders, right? And so it takes into account cultures, other cultures, and allows them and allows them unity and diversity. The way in which Russia took over the geography that it inhabits wasn't very violent. It wasn't very awful. There wasn't any genocides involved. Americans are what is called a barbaric culture. In other words, to define barbarism means a certain culture of a certain amount of years. It's very young. And the younger culture is, it doesn't graduate to the level of beyond barbarism, right? So once you get past 300 years, 400 years, 500 years, then you have a more older culture. Because America is in this very agitated, youthful state, it still is very, very, very volatile, and it thinks that it's always right. Like a 15-year-old kid, it's always right. Nobody else is right. And this is a major difficulty. This is a major difficulty. And so that's a big difference. Russians are like, okay, prove me that I'm wrong, right? Americans are, you're wrong. It's like, and that's difficult. I mean, hopefully we'll get better with time, but I think that's a big difference.
I agree with that, and thank you for this amazing talk and being so engaging and so honest and open with our participants. We really highly appreciate that you truly have a global citizen mentality, and it was a true pleasure having you here.
You guys
Thank
all
you so
take
much,
care.
Chris, and I wish you the amazing day.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Ребята, вы просто сегодня разрываете.
Guys, you have been incredible today. You are breaking down the chats, the Q&As. We are already receiving your pitches with your startup ideas. We are already starting to look at them. So keep sending them, and tomorrow you will have another day to send in your pitches and get an opportunity to win a trip to the US.